Published 6:10 Eastern Standard Time, the 2nd of February 2019. Updated 6:10 Eastern Standard Time, the 2nd of February 2019. The global economy is in a state of flux. The slow-burning trade war between the United States and China is in danger of escalating, while there are also warning signs in China's domestic economy. The fortunes of two of the world's biggest smartphone makers over recent days have shifted the picture, and not for the better. Firstly, Huawei. News that the FBI has alleged the Chinese telecom giant intentionally and systematically sought to steal valuable intellectual property from an American company could poison the well of Sino-American relations at a critical time. A Chinese military guard stands watch in Tiananmen Square while the top two economies in the world have been doing a pretty good job of keeping a lid on tensions and kicking the can down the road to keep trade going. There has to now be fresh concern this process could hit the rocks. A full breakdown in trade with the U.S. would be highly damaging to China specifically, but also create a significant drag on the rest of the world economy, including here in the UK. The international pinching of intellectual property is far from a recent phenomenon. The Chinese may well have pilfered the idea itself from the target of much of the alleged theft, the United States. Long before becoming the world's leader in innovation, the United States had a deliberate policy of acquiring British technology developed during the Industrial Revolution by any means necessary as it set out on its own path to becoming an economic superpower. America also methodically snapped up scientists, engineers and technological advancements from Germany after it collapsed to defeat in the war. So while it doesn't make it right, it is logical for China to go down this path, and much of its economic success of the last 20 years stems from copying the West. There is a big difference between current times though and the industrialization and post-war eras in that America can do much more about it than Britain or Germany were able to back then. A woman looks at an iPhone at an Apple store in Beijing. Now there are clearly defined laws on the matter in place. Stealing intellectual property through hacking is now internationally recognized as a criminal act. Computers, let alone hacking, didn't even exist when the US was gathering up British know-how. If that wasn't enough, Huawei and by implication China is also facing claims it has flouted international sanctions placed on Iran, undermining a key element of US foreign policy. Neither of these things will play well for China in trade talks. While the various disputes with the U.S. are understandably taking the headlines, it is only one part of the story when it comes to China's economy, and this is where the second smartphone maker comes in. What's going on domestically is arguably more important in the big picture, and there are some new red flags here too, courtesy of Apple. With there being notorious skepticism over the official figures put out by China's state apparatus, those of us trying to ascertain what the true picture is need all the independent yardsticks we can get. Banks and investment firms put a lot of time and energy into working out exactly what is going on in China, and it's not easy. Aside from the government's headline GDP figures, measures such as electricity consumption and rail cargo levels are used. Given the all-powerful state apparatus in China, none of these figures can be fully guaranteed to be free from political influence. This being so, Apple's results this week are valuable to China watchers. We can be sure that Apple reports sales figures accurately. It would be illegal under U.S. law for it not to. The news is not great on this front. Apple revealed a significant drop-off in Chinese sales, confirming fears of a consumer slowdown. The caveat to this is that iPhone sales have been softening everywhere due to market saturation and new versions increasing seemingly similar to the last, so determining exactly how much of the drop is specific to China itself isn't simple. While the smartphone proxy measure for China's economic health is far from an exact science, it is still a useful addition to the toolkit for anybody trying to gauge what is happening in the world's second economy.